Welcome back, gang. It's Deltia from DeltiasGaming.com here with the beginner's guide for the First Descendant, new free-to-play game that everyone is playing. It's awesome, it's fun, but it's a bit complex on what you should do and why, and I'm here to tell you. So the first thing you're going to need to do is select a starting character. Now, I've played them all and have a tier list on what my opinions are of them. You get three options that are free. The first is Viesa. Now, she is a frost kind of damage over time. Her biggest thing is that she uses her frost to build ice shackles. It's a debuff. So she's a lot of AoE, pretty fun, and really good in all sorts of content. Maybe not the highest damage or the highest survivability, but she's a fun, interesting character if you like ice. Next character is Ajax. So this is your typical tank. He plays like kind of similar to a Bubble Titan from Destiny 2, if you've ever played that. Very strong starting character, especially for his survivability. Now, I haven't unlocked all these skills on the live server, but I played him a lot in beta in the early testing phase. So I would play him if you want something with knockback, control, heavy survivability, and you're unfamiliar with the mechanics of the game. The third character choice that you can get is Lepic. He is kind of a grenade spammer. So very simple AoE heavy focus, can burn targets with damage over time. Also has a suck-in traction grenade, so awesome for clearing ads. And his ultimate overkill is very strong for boss fights. So he's a really well-rounded character. The only downside with him is he's not fast, he's not mobile per se, and doesn't have like an on-demand defensive skill. But if you want something that focuses on grenade spamming, low cooldowns, this is your guy. Now you can see I've unlocked a bunch of other ones. So you can pay and buy with Caliber to unlock these, or you can earn them. One thing I would recommend is don't necessarily buy any straight away. You can get Bunny just by playing the game for about 2-3 hours doing the main story. You will unlock her, and you'll unlock a really powerful weapon for her as well. So trying all these out, yeah, you can do it, and yeah, you can buy it, but really you don't. You got balanced grenade here, damage over time with Viesa, and you got a strong tank with Ajax, and you'll see people playing other different Descendants and kind of know which ones you want. Now, you can unlock them for free too, so let me show you how to do that. All right, so we're in Albion. This is the world map, and if you drill down, this is your main starting hub. I'll explain a little bit more about it later. Usually you start here at the city entrance, and then there's this character here, the Magister. So this is kind of how you unlock different characters through research. If you go to Descendants, let's say you want to earn one. I don't have the ultimate ones, are super expensive. So when you click on it, it talks about the research time, the cost, and then it has all these little materials over here. Something really nice about this game is you can find out where and how you get the material. So you hit the F key, it says go to research, and then you can go over here. These are just like materials that you can farm and so on. But it tells you this specific blueprint is the main source of how you get it. You hit F again, and then it tells you Intercept battle on hard. So I haven't even unlocked that yet, but these are the different types and ways you can get it. So if we go to those Intercept battles, which I'll show you a little bit later, there's a percentage chance this will drop, and this is the materials that you will farm. So what I'm trying to tell you is if there's some specific Descendant that you're really attracted to that you don't want to pay for with real life money, you come to here and find out specifically what you have to do by hitting the F research acquisition. And that's where you can get it. All right, progression. So what do you do in the game and why? Well, a lot of it comes down to two different types of main content to do, which is clearing these zones to unlock more challenging bosses. So if I were to break the game down into two sections for PvE, one is like open world. So you'll start in Albion and you'll work in through these zones. What it does is you have a main story quest, and typically you come to one of these zones and do 3 to 4 quests in the zone and to lock another one and another one. So if we go to my quest here, I'm on this specific zone, Hagios. I just unlocked it. So you see these purple little quest markers? I come here and I do these 3 quests or so, and then I unlock another zone, another zone, another zone. While you're doing that, you're going to unlock about 2 of these over here per one, called operations. So when you go here, you go operations. You can see I haven't unlocked these 2, but when you click on one, it allows you to farm an instance-based dungeon. It tells you the possible rewards, which is very helpful, which I'll get to Transcendent Mods in a little bit. So some of these are you're going to farm and do repeatedly, basically trying to get this one specific super special mod for whatever character you're using. So your primary objective is to work through the main story by just going to these zones, doing the quest, and then rotating until it fully unlocks and doing the operations. Something to note about your gear. The gear, you can see right here, I'm at 66, right? It goes up to 100 by completing the campaign. So that's going to be your end game number you're going to get to. While you're leveling and progressing, don't spend a ton of time min-maxing gear and really concerning yourself with what you have and why. Every couple, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes, you need to come check your gear and upgrade, because you will get constantly get new stuff to use and upgrade, and it will make you feel a lot more powerful. But don't spend the time sweating over every little detailed stat until you complete the campaign. The campaign is your #1 priority. Now, when you're doing the campaign and when you're completing these little world zone areas, you're going to complete one, do both the operations, and typically what it does is it makes you come back here, do some dialogue, and then you can do a boss fight. So if I hit map here, go to G again, you've seen these little shiny things down here, void intercept battles. These are bosses, and you unlock them at various different parts in the campaign. And they're almost extremely different. So most of the game revolves around AoE, trash, and ad clears. This is the exact opposite. It revolves around single target heavy. So the character that I am using is Bunny, probably the most popular of all of the characters. And she's fantastic for AoE, just smashing things up close and personal because all of her abilities. But when you get to the boss fight, you're going to find out, oh, it's a whole different ballgame. You can't play in melee range and try to YOLO unless you're fully mid-max at endgame. So you'll have to have different loadouts for it or play a different way. So when you come to these boss fights, you need to switch your build up a little bit more depending on which one. They're all going to have specific different mechanics. Take your time to slow down and read what they tell you here. So recommended attribute resistance, it says electrical resistance 350. So you can equip mods that will help you deal with their specific elemental damage. And it says attack attribute, electric attribute. So you might switch to a different descendant depending if you have that unlocked to do that. But take your time and actually read where these weak points are. This will be able to really nuke the boss a lot quicker, and having the resistances. This is going to be a tough challenge depending on which descendant you use. They're very geared towards AoE trash, just blazing through the campaign like Bunny, or someone like Freyna or Viessa or Glay, who's really good at boss fights because they're really damage over time or gun based heavy. Also, equip and check out your weapons need to be a little bit different. So for boss fights, I usually go with a grenade launcher or a sniper rifle. Specifically something long range, as you can't be right on top of them. Explosive is really good for clearing ads and clearing trash, but make sure you swap those out and be aware. The two basic things you're going to be doing is the main campaign, AoE trash clears, blazing through the main story as fast as you can to get to end game gear, and then in between those unlocking different zones. Then you're going to be doing a boss fight, single target, heavy survivability and damage is needed. All right, next up is number 3, and this is Albion. This is your main area here. So I'm going to break this down kind of simply for you, what to do and what to expect here. So as you come here, there's a lot of different things. This is kind of just shows you the world map. Here's where your mailbox is, and here's where your storage box is. So mailboxes, if you buy some of that caliber or you get some in-game rewards, you're going to come here, you'll get a little pop-up notification. Storage box is nice because it contains your bank, essentially your vault. Now, when you're leveling up, you're going to be confused on what to use this for and why. So I just chucked in some different reactors so I can save it, and some different external components that have set bonuses so I can be aware of what those are. Talk about that a little bit later. But really, this is mainly for endgame once you've hit max level of 100 in your gear score, so you can actually save different loadouts and have your bank full. You can expand this, obviously, but it's very helpful to store stuff if you just don't know if it's good or not. You have these two areas over here. So this is what I showed you earlier, operation terminal, and this is special operation terminal. Now, special operation terminal I'm going to touch on a little bit later, but there's like some grind spots here. This is for waves. So wave after wave you can do, and depending on how far you get is depending on how much rewards you're going to get. And you can kind of mouse over and see what you could possibly get. So the ASA Enhanced Cell Blueprint, Secret Garden Nanotube. So a lot of weapons and or Descendant materials come from farming these over and over, but really good for leveling because it's just straight enemy kills over and over. And both of these things you can do public or private. So you see start private operation, start public. Public is 4 players. So it will queue you up for 4 players. Be aware the content is scaled based on how many players that you use. So if you're a really good sweaty solo player, you can do it solo and it'll be a little bit easier than 4 players. Because sometimes you're going to get repeated people that aren't necessarily good. I might be one of those right now, I'm not going to lie. Next up is mastery ranks. I'm going to explain that a little bit more. It's right here. Then you have Seneca, it's a scholar. This is kind of who unlocks the main boss stories, Void, Intercept, Battle Researcher. So as you progress, you're going to have to talk to this person repeatedly. Next, you have the Descendant Instructor. So this is kind of like a tutorial guy that's just going to give you a bunch of quests you kind of want to turn in quickly. And if you need to go to your quest log, you can come here. You can turn tracking on or off. I turn tracking off typically because the UI is so big that I really don't like it. So be aware of that. You come over here, you get your storage box over here, your workbench. So workbench I'm going to touch on, but this is where you craft all of your stuff. And this is where you upgrade weapons. You can upgrade other things within your weapons as well. So you're going to spend a lot of time in the workbench. So you're coming down here to get to these other secondary spots. Workbench and researchers where you're going to spend a lot of time. So here is the workbench. Now, when you very first start the game, it's not going to look like this. I'll get more to detail with this, but level, transmission, weapon readjustment, you can upgrade, enhance unique abilities, and reactor enhancement. So a lot of stuff that you're going to be doing here. Next up, you're going to come down here. This is kind of like a simulation thing you can do to test your builds. Laboratory Manager, I don't use that too much, but if you want to swap out mods and weapons and see how hard they hit, that's where you go. This is the other upgrade thing, which is upgrading mods, enhance, dismantle, or combine mods. Very important. We'll touch on mods. I know. I'm just telling you the basics so far. Don't get mad at me. And then now is the researcher again down here in the corner. So a lot of times what you're going to be doing is spending your time up here doing content from these 2 queues, or you're going to come down here to the workbench and or the Magister to research and this module master. Next up, I'm going to show you some combat clips and just explain the user interface in combat so you're just kind of aware. Before I do that though, I want to touch on this. When you go to options, show status effects right here. So you can do weapon damage detail, skill damage detail, show HP, show this, all of these. This will actually change all of the values and give you a lot more detail in combat. And then show status effect text. You do want to turn this on for both enemies and allies. The reasons that's useful is when you go into your Descendant, there is a lot of builds and debuffs and buffs that will increase or decrease your damage. It'll also tell you a lot of information incoming, and you're going to have to train your eyeballs on where to look at this. So the more information you can have, the better it will be later on at endgame to know, oh, Freyna put a poison damage over time on this. I can combo with this skill or this weapon or this gun. Oh, this one is stunned. I can combo with this weapon, this skill, this gun. So turn that information on in the UI. So here's a picture of Bunny. It has a lot of stuff on here, I know that. But at the top, you're going to have enemy debuff timers. It shows burn, so that's the status effect. To the left of the character, it's going to show your buff. So speed of light, I just used that. I'm getting a buff from that. And then it's going to show your health bar on the lower right and your shields. Shields are the white little bars. Red is your health bar. You're going to see red cubes around on the ground as you kill ads. Pick those up to refill your health. The blue is going to refill your resources. Now, on the left-hand side, you see the grappling hook. You're going to get 2 uses of that, and it's roughly about a second before it comes back. So if you spam grappling hook, realize there is a cooldown. You can run out of uses for that. The F key shows your melee. Now, you can always do a melee attack, but the thing about melee is you can jump up in the air and hit it, or you can specifically hit it and do a bit of damage. So that goes on cooldown as well. Now, the most important thing is the resource bar. Almost everyone has MP, not everybody though. So this is gonna be your main resource bar. Bunny has 2. The blue one is MP or mana, magic, whatever you wanna call it. The bottom one is electricity. And so with Bunny, what you're doing is you're channeling your MP or your mana into electricity, which is your unique resource to use abilities. Most players just use MP, so when you run out, you can't use any more abilities. and your weapons in the bottom right. 3 different type of weapons that you can equip and swap quickly. Now on the top right, you're gonna see your other players. This is helpful to keep an eye on, especially if someone's in trouble with lower shields or they go down, specifically in the boss encounters, because even if someone is not as good as you, if they're dead, you only get 3 deaths before the entire scenario is over and done. So it helps to resurrect your players and your friends and your allies, even if they're not that good, they're not a sweat lord like you, because it will affect your performance and could possibly destroy that operation that you just about got cleared. So keep an eye on that. Okay, next up is master rank. So you're gonna come here to prime hands. Early on, you're gonna learn about this, and you come up here to basically level up your mastery ranks. Now, mastery ranks do a lot for you. Basically what they do is they unlock a lot of different progression and also make you more powerful. So Descendant Mods. This is allowing you to equip more mods, super helpful, both on your Descendant and your weapons, your inventory, your storage, your consumables, everything just grows and progresses. And also you'll unlock more crafting options as you progress this. So how do you progress it? Well, there's a total of 40 mastery, and you just need to play the game. So completing quests for the first time will rank this up. Completing any objective, leveling your characters, basically just playing the game will level this up. And it's very important to focus on. Now, the main reason mastery ranks is so important, and if you mouse over here, it kind of tells you how to rank up, is your Descendant modules. So I've been talking about modules, let's break it down. When you come into here, there's a lot to look at, let me tell you. But what you need to go top to bottom here, you have different settings. So why would you have different settings? Well, you'd have different settings for, let's say, solo, you're doing a story, you want AoE trash clear. You're doing a boss fight specifically, or you're playing with a specific friend or a specific loadout, and you can set those and then quickly equip them. You can come down here and say, okay, I don't know what to do mod-wise. I'm gonna equip recommended mods. Will this be the best? No, it will not. But it will get you by if you just wanna quickly swap in. When you swap a Descendant or you're leveling, you need to kind of come back here. Here's your module capacity up here. So it says 0 out of 70. You come over here, you notice it says 68 out of 80. This specific one, Shock Punch, there's Dual Claw, a couple of other ones. As you level and progress this mod, it actually unlocks more slots for you with a maximum of 80 capacity. The reason I don't have one slot in this specific skill slot is there's what's called Transcendent Mods. Transcendent Mods haven't got a whole lot of them yet, but what they do is they change a specific skill in your build. And that's kind of like the capstone to your build when it comes to mods, is finding that unique mod that you want right here. And it takes a lot of resources, you see 15, and that's what really ramps up your efficiency and your build's performance. Now you're probably like, well, what kind can I get? I'm glad you asked. If you hit the J key and come to Quest, I told you earlier you can access tons and tons of stuff to kind of find out. You hit J, go to Quest Journal, access information, mod, and then you can actually see all of this stuff. So you can go to Bunny. This one's kind of cool, electric condense, so it changes maximum power, which is your single target beam, into a form that causes damage around Bunny. So if you wanted to go to ultimate Bunny AoE, this would be it. If you hit F, acquisition info, it tells you. Now the best way to farm this specific one is Vespers normal, as I can just do it in basically 2 minutes, pretty much solo. Infiltration options, and then it's Sepulchre. I probably can't pronounce that right. Of course, I'm looking for all the wrong ones. And here. Now it's a percentage chance to drop, so again, you might get it once, you might get it 100 times, who knows, but that's where it goes. Going back into the mod interface, you're gonna have different slots, so you're gonna optimally slot these things. And as a beginner, the blue standard are really important and impactful. You're gonna unlock a bunch later on. Increase shields, skill power modifiers, just really increases your power of your skills, and it only costs 4. So you see this right here, that 4 indicates how much it costs. You can see the little yellow bars here, that indicates that I've leveled them up. And then you can get specific ones for Electric Master that are rare, which is very good on a bunny build. And you can also get resistance mods, all attribute resistance 60. Remember that I talked about over here, those bosses are going to display what their recommended attribute resistance is: fire. This guy's named Pyromaniac, so as you can imagine, shoots a lot of fire at. So when you're doing these bosses, you're going to want to swap out some of those damage mods for something that gives resistance. And you can use a search because you're going to start getting a ton of them pretty soon. So maximize fire resistance, you can see here. So 18% fire resistance. And I have this one stacked as well, so I just got done with the pyro guy. That's what I would use here. So in summary so far, what I do is equip recommended mods. We have mod loadouts for every build in the game on deltiasgaming.com, link in description below. If you don't know, it's going to take you a while to unlock all of these, but your priority is get something like Shock Punch here and start building that up, leveling it up so you can increase your mod capacity so you can equip more and more and more. Keep it simple. Do increased HP, defense, shields, a skill power modifier, skill cooldown, skill range is really important. And then you can get some fancy ones up here. Now, when it comes to modifying mods, I think that's a word, you come over here, which I showed you a little bit earlier, and you can upgrade them. Now, as I'm walking over there, just be aware that upgrading them has a cost, both in currency and also it's going to increase the cost of the mod. So sometimes you'll increase mods and you won't be able to use them anymore because you don't have the available energy to do so. So here on the map is where we go. Cylon or whatever they're called, I probably can't pronounce the name right. Enhance mod. Okay, so it will tell you your mod capacity. This is important to know. And you have Descendant Mods and Weapons Mods. Yeah, I'll touch on both. You can see the Shock Punch is maxed out already. We'll go over to, let's just say, increased HP. I'll go over 1, or you can go radical and go all the way to the end. These will be locked based on your mastery rank. So when you very first start, don't expect these to be like already ready to go. But when you click it here, you're going to upgrade it and you can see the green tells you, hey, you have enough to increase this. You can get duplicates of these. So let's say for a specific build, you want to max this out, but for another build, you're just not going to have the mod capacity to do it. So you're not going to max out. Maybe you do 1 or 2 ranks. So be aware this isn't going to be set and forget. You're going to max every single one out right away and it's going to be great. Because your mod capacity is the most important thing. You don't go over, you really want to mid-max that. The number one I would spend my time on is Shock Punch or something like this that changes your sub-attack and gives you increased max capacity. There's I think 3 or 4 different ones. Most important by far. And then shields, HP, very simple ones, skill cooldowns, awesome to get. The other thing about mods is you can combine mods. So this is kind of useful if you have a bunch of different mods and you don't know what to do with them. You don't want to sell them or get rid of them, but they're just kind of sitting around in your inventory. You can do a couple of different things. So see, I have a bunch of these toxic mods. Okay, so I'm going to grab 1, 2, 3, and then I have another technician, couple technicians that are just laying around, and you can do 4. And for gold, which I have tons of, you can combine. And it creates a new mod. Increased defense. So sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. I don't know if it's specific to what you combine in there, so leave a comment below if you know, or if it's just RNG based, but it's a way to basically clear out your inventory and possibly get better and better mods. Now, one thing I would recommend is you see special round storage and it has that unique symbol. That's the type of ammunition it uses, special, and it tells you module class special rounds. So if you have a mod that has different types, you always want to keep at least one of special rounds, or right here, high powered rounds, or impact rounds. That way, if you switch guns, but you like that specific mod and the ammo changes, you have one laying around. So this one here specifically is just the same type. I'm going to combine it. Better weapon weight. Nice. Weapon change speed. Okay. And so I sometimes come through here and just if I have like 5 or 6 of the same one, I'll go through and just do it that way instead of deleting them or messing with it, trying to unlock new mods. And I've got some powerful ones, but don't sleep on the standard mods. When you look at them, just realize this is the cost. You can upgrade the cost, but you have a total amount of energy that you can use. Okay, next up is weapons. So there's a lot of weapons. Oh, and you can get ultimate weapons pretty early. Thunder Cage specifically, you get Bunny and Thunder Cage very, very early. So when we talk about weapons, just in case you want to know where they are and what they are, you can come here, or my website, deltiasgaming.com. Have I said that yet? 5 times? You come here, and it tells you what you need to get. So if you're looking for Thunder Cage, one of the best weapons in the entire game, no matter what build you have, let's say you're missing something, you hit F, and it tells you where to go. So I've already completed this, but you can do it over and over and over and over again, and it'll give you all the specifics. So sterile lands, and this is basically just the beginning starter zone. They really wanted you to get you Bunny right away, and they really wanted to get you Thunder Cage right away. So when we break down weapons, there are a lot to weapons and weapon progressions. So first thing is your skill level. Is you see 62 here on the level of the weapon. On your legendary or ultimate weapons, you want to level them up, I don't know, every 10, 15 levels or so. This will really increase your DPS. So as you progress, you're going to unlock more and more crafting. One is right here, we talked about a bit earlier. But you can see weapon level transmission. So what it allows you to do is take thing here, just kind of like Destiny and upgrade modules. And then you're going to use this specific thing, which I'll touch on a little bit later. You can see firearm attack, your damage goes up quite a bit. But these are costly and precious. So you don't really want to mess with these too much. That's why I say every 10, 15 levels, or when your damage just starts to be like a noodle, that's when you want to do it. So every time you come back to Albion to turn a quest in or something, come stop here and queue up some research. It will really save you a lot of time when you need it. So go to all Precision Phase Exchanger. This is that unique material. You're going to get liquid metal just from deconstructing a lot of those guns that you don't need, and it's $250 a pop. So you hit research, it's 10 minutes. Here's another one that's quite useful to research. So usually I queue up both of them, Precision Phase Exchanger and Precision Ion Accelerator. So that's 10 minutes. You go out and quest a little bit, you come back and get one. Then you need about 3 so you can level up those ultimate weapons every 10, 15 levels and stay on target as you level and progress. Don't level up other ones. You're going to find tons and tons of guns just playing and doing the content through the main campaign and main story, but this is one of the means you get a lot more powerful. Don't sleep on when it says DPS, damage per second, because you have a grenade launcher or something with high explosive rounds. It might be a little bit more DPS than Thunder Cage, but it might fit your build specifically. So when you look at the weapons, you have different types of weapons and they use different ammo. The symbols are really important. So we talked about that a little bit earlier, but usually your loadout you want to have, similar to Destiny 2, something that's easy ammunition to get, so Thunder Cage. And then I have this hand cannon here that has impact rounds. So you can have that or the orange type. And then high-powered rounds or heavy ammo. This is like snipers, grenade launchers, perfect to complement your build. So you want typically something close range, Thunder Cage, hand cannon, medium range, and then either a sniper for long range or ad clear grenade launchers. Okay, now if this wasn't confusing and complicated enough, there's more. We have weapon mods. So weapon mods is another thing that you have to do, very similar, if not identical, to Descendant Mods. There's obviously the same kind of settings here. So you have mod capacity, I have 50, and I'm maxed out at 49 out of 50, so I'm just about there. You have equip recommended mods, and you have a mod's additional settings. So you can max out the capacity all the way to 80. You get one of these for free. Of course, you can buy them with real life money, or you can just kind of grind them out, which takes a long time to get. But your really mid-max weapons, you can actually max this up to 80 as well, giving you the most potential for damage later on. So a couple good ones, rifle reinforcement, fire up rate, really good. Weak point sight's another good one. And Hawkeye for accuracy. So when you get a new weapon, just realize you want to come in and as soon as you start using it, go to equip recommended mods. Anytime you swap to a new weapon, there's going to be 0 mods on there and you're going to forget, not do much damage. You're like, man, I suck at the game. Well, maybe you do, but maybe it's just you don't have any mods in there. And you also have the different settings in here. So let's say you play on Bunny and you want, electricity stuff. Bang. You play on someone else that's fire like Blair or Lepic, you come over here and you can change the settings. We're not done yet with weapons. There are a couple ways to enhance weapons beyond just leveling them up. So you come back to this crafter here. Weapon readjustment. So what this is, we're gonna grab this guy. You have these in specific traits. Weapon change speed, these are not very good. So you can lock in specifically what you want. So let's try to re-roll, and you have to use those fine adjustment control axis back at the research. Another thing you want to research as well, and you can readjust it. Oh, nice. Electric attack, not bad with money. So You can kind of re-roll on the individual traits that you want and min-max this even further by doing this. Again, I wouldn't spend a ton of time on doing this until you reach endgame 100, complete the campaign, because you probably aren't really going to know what you want. You're not going to know which Descendant is your favorite and so on. But this is a way that you can actually manipulate and manage your traits and keep on re-rolling. The part is fine adjustment control access. Another thing to queue up if you have materials. Okay, now you have even more stuff. Enhance unique ability. Now, I don't have another one of these, but you can see that I have a little yellow bar here for Thunder Cage. That means I've actually got the weapon twice. And you can keep on upgrading its unique weapon ability. So the unique weapon ability is this overcharge. When defeating an enemy, the defeated enemy has a set chance to discharge electrical shockwave, which deals additional damage to nearby enemies. Now you can keep on upgrading that, increase the damage, I think, and the range. So that's a further way to constantly get the weapons and incentivizes you to get it more than once. That way you can fully optimize the power of that unique ability. Weapons also have their own progression, so you can see proficiency level 40. This is like XP bonus as well. So similar to leveling your characters up, you can see Bunny here is level 40. Your weapons will level along with it. Now, when it comes to leveling weapons and or your characters, you just need to do basically story content, missions, anything that you progress, you're going to be earning XP. And I'll show you a grind spot a little bit later. Okay, to recap the weapons. Basically, when you get your weapon, what you need to do is you need to equip mods. If you don't know which mods, just manually do it and say, equip some mods for me. When you swap, you need to do the same thing. You need to have something close range, medium range, and long range if you can. One weapon should be high-powered round in your third slot, is how I like to do it, with something here like some special rounds. That will give you a well-balanced build for any type of content that you do. You can also dismantle these weapons and use the materials for upgrades. So you can mass do it by delegating everything, and you can see it has that icon, and you can dismantle it here. I'm not going to do that. I usually just keep 3 or 4 on me with a higher level. That way I can just kind of transmute them or whatever if I need to upgrade those levels of the weapons. All right, weapons are pretty complicated. Let's go to another complicated thing, and that's armor. So here's money again. We got the weapons on the left side. We have the right side, which is essentially your armor. So you don't have like a chest plate or something like that. You have a reactor and external components. So reactors. Now, these are somewhat complicated to understand. So I need to equip a beam rifle to get the most out of it. So you see optimized condition is missed. The two most important things are skill power boost ratio right in the middle there. It says electric skill power boost ratio and fusion power boost skill ratio. So your individual descendant has something called the attributes. And when you look at Bunny, it says electric fusion. And then electric fusion, electric singular, electric singular. So almost every single descendant has a type. And you can come down here of their main attribute. So non-attribute, fire, chill, electric, toxic. And then it has a secondary, tech, fusion, singularity, dimension. Some, like Bunny, have 2. Why that's relevant is specific reactors will increase specific skills. They're not across the board the exact same thing. So when you're picking a reactor, typically as you level up every 5-6 levels, a reactor is just going to be stronger just based on the level. But when you reach that 100, you're going to look to min-max those specific skills that you use. You can see the icons light up here at the bottom. The reason I like this reactor is maximum power. My far right skill is my ulti, and I use that quite frequently. It maxes that out. For the 2 skills in the middle, you use those more frequently. You would change that fusion to, I think, what was it, dimension or singular? I should know this. Singular. So reactors look very confusing at first. But you want to optimize condition by equipping a weapon, so I would equip something here on my middle slot to get a little bit more power out of it. Also, you can see in the very bottom, it says skill effect range and electric skill power boost ratio. Those 2 are randoms. So the tingling mixture reactor, if I liked using that, you're going to get the same name as you level and progress. If you're 5, 6, 10 levels ahead and you need to swap reactors, most likely it's going to be more power than what you have. You can always mouse over it and see right here. I can mouse over it and it says a little bit more powerful because I have a hand cannon equipped. So I'm just going to swap that. My skills get more powerful. So don't sweat it too much. Just come over here and realize that when you reach higher levels, look at what is increased. Look for that optimized condition. But also when you get to the end game and you max out, you're going to look for that specific thing that you need to increase the skills that you use. That weren't confusing enough. Let's talk about external components. So external components are essentially how you increase your defensives and survivability. Defense lowers damage, max shields, max HP. Some specific builds don't even have shields, like Glay. Most of them do. So you want a balanced approach, in my opinion, defense, max shields, and max HP to maintain high survivability. Bunny is a bit squishy, so it's really important for her. So you're gonna see here, this defense support one, got defense, and then I have two things below it, fire resistance and a duration increase. Those two things are random. So another way to mid-max a god roll, if you will, is just getting the stat that you want, defensive, max shields, and so on, and then two things below it that you actually want. When you're leveling though, just disregard that and keep on cruising and keep on and putting on more and more defensive stuff as you level. Every 3, 4, 5, 6 levels, come back here, check, swap things in and out. And then you actually have set bonuses. So believe it or not, there's set bonuses in the armor, 2 and 4 piece. So this one here is veteran marksman, so firearm critical hit, and if you equip 4 of it, then I would get another 2-piece bonus. So these are another way to mid-max your specific build, and then you have those 2 traits below it. This is the gold quality one, so very, very good. But what I want you to understand is don't worry so much as you level about holding on to these specific and mid-maxing and taking the set bonuses. You're going to get a lot more powerful just by equipping new ones every 5 levels or so. You want to prioritize defense and max shields typically. But if you don't have that available and something 7, 10 levels out of date, put something new on. And same thing with reactors. Keep it simple. If you see a bunch of greens, equip them. The builds that we have on my site are mid-max when you reach max level with optimized conditions for the weapon loadouts that we chose to give you the most power possible. But for just leveling up, equip them, and then you can save some of these set bonuses if you want to use them and try them out. But it's pretty rare to get a bunch of them at the same level that you are, and it's not worth holding on to a bunch of them until you reach max level of 100 and you can use them properly in your build. And you can see your stats down here. So if you're a mid-maxer and really want to see your stats, you can go to this and it tells you everything. So when you swap weapons, you can see how much power you have, what you should be using and why, your movement speed, everything. For leveling up, that should give you a good idea of what you should be using and why. Now, another thing to touch on is you have presets. So let's say you play a couple different builds a lot, you can actually save the current settings. This isn't going to be so important to leveling up because you're just changing them so often. But you can go to different settings, 1, 2, 3, and then have different build loadouts for specific things and or characters as you swap, because all of this stuff will not necessarily swap when you swap Descendants. So keep in mind, the presets are very, very handy if you swap characters a lot, or if you get to endgame and you set up multiple things, add, clear, boss fight, so on. Okay, man, touched on a lot so far. One last thing, and we found how to level up really quickly. So if you want to play a bunch of different Descendants, or you want to level one up to get the most power, they go all the way to 40. It's kind of like the trend so far in preseason, is 40 is your max power. You're going to come over here. Now, I'll show you a video of this while I'm talking briefly, but you go to Special Operations, so on the map, in case you missed it, right here. And then there's one in Kingston called Defend Albion Resource. There's 2 ways, 2 grinds here. You're going to hit Start Mission. I'll show you some footage of what this looks like. You and a buddy are going to park on 2 specific spots. The goal is to defend this waypoint thing in the middle, but most players know this is the grind spot. What you can do is have a damage over time build, or really any build that can just nuke enemies straight away on spawns. So Valby, Blair, Viesa, Freyna, I use Bunny, of course, to nuke things down. And you sit on these spawns camps and just nuke mobs as they come. This will give you enormous experience points, and you can level from 1 to 40 in 2 hours easy. There's also XP boost modifiers you can get in the store if you want to increase it even further. But if you're having trouble kind of really pushing that power and you want to level up your characters very fast, come to this grind spot. There is another one in the swamp. It's a bit more complicated. You have to do a bit more of laps. It is more XP, but this is turn your brain off, park in a spot, throw a couple dots down, watch everything die, level up very quickly. It's really nice because I think at level 8 or 9, you get all of your skills, including your ultimate and everything unlocked. So if you're looking at trying a Descendant and you start and you're like way in the campaign, you're not really going to be effectively bringing them into late game missions when they don't have really any skills unlocked. So you can come here, do this quickly, level them up so they're at least have their skills unlocked, and then start playing with them to see if you like. All right, that brings us to number 10. So what should you focus on and why? So typically, your goal in the game is to get more powerful, right? So that way you can do more bosses. In my opinion, the sweaty content in the game revolves around these void intercept bosses. So you're going to be completing the campaign to get these done, and then you're going to unlock the hard ones to do even cooler and better stuff. But to do that, you need to complete the campaign. So prioritize completing the campaign and just leveling up your gear every 5-10 levels or so. Do not get so confused with mid-maxing every piece of gear. In order to beat the campaign, though, you are going to have to beat these bosses. So you're going to need to balance a couple of different aspects of your build: survivability, single target and range for the boss, damage, AoE, and movement speed for just completing these campaigns. Once you get going on the campaigns, you're going to come here and you're going to swap out your reactors every once in a while, your external components. The weapons are really critical to level up every 10 or so. While you're doing this, as soon as you get some of these mods unlocked, you can farm for a Transcendent mod. So you can see I'm a little bit later in the game. So if I really wanted a mid-max bunny and I just wanted a little bit more damage, I would come and try to find out that specific mod that I'm looking for to really polish up my build. So I'm going to go to bunny and I see that electric condense. Okay, where is this at? Okay, it's at Vesper's normal sculpture, or whatever the heck it's called. I would do that quest over and over to get that Transcendent mod to change that maximized power. And that would be enough to get me going on knowing on where to go and what to do, which is clearing the campaign. Once you get to endgame, then it will be farming these things to get more and more powerful, unlocking more Descendants as well. Now, we're in the early phases of the game, so as I understand it, we're in pre-season. In August, there's going to be a new Descendant Luna, and there's going to be more content added. So 4-player PvE, no PvP in the game, but really it's around killing those bosses, leveling up quickly, having a good time. It's a really fun game. The Descendants are unique and interesting, so if you get bored, just try to unlock a new one, play around with it, having a great time. So thanks for watching this video. Hope you got something out of it. If you did, hit a like, leave me a comment, and check the links in the description below, because we have a lot of builds and written guides. Thanks for watching.